In today's video, I'm going to be getting real about my 2025 goals, which have not really gone as well as planned. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. For those of you that are new, welcome. My name is Tracy and this is a girl with plans. So if you are a returning viewer to my channel, then you know that I typically do goal setting videos. I like to do them once a month. However, this year it's been very intermittent. I have entire goal setting series. I have playlists set up for that, so you can definitely check it out if you want more information, because I've changed up the way I've done some goal setting over the past few years. This year's been a bit rough. I will say I started the year with a lot of intentions and a lot of goals. I will just show you that right from the get-go. Like I set my focus areas up. I was all gung-ho, but I feel like that's kind of like, you know, the end of the year. Never set this up, but that's kind of like what happens at the end of the year. You're kind of looking forward to the new year, and one of the things that you do is kind of set up some goals and aspirations and things like that. It's very fun to do, and it just kind of helps you figure out what you want to get out of the new year. So I really like that process. However, I will say, like, this year, this was just for the first quarter. My intention was to do one of these every quarter. And then realistically, even if I was in the correct mindset, this would have been a lot to set up. So I don't know if I would have been able to do that. But yeah, it's just mentally, I just have not been in the best mental space, I guess is what I want to say, throughout this entire year, which has made goal setting or just even following up with my goals a little bit difficult, just because it just hasn't become a focus. When you're struggling mentally, you just don't, like, there's certain things that you still do focus on, but some of those like minor things, I mean, nothing's minor, but there is like a hierarchy there, you know. There are certain things like my health and wellness are things that, you know, I need to prioritize, so I do. But then there are other things that kind of go by the wayside, like, you know, social activities or things like that, because when you're not in the right mindset, that is definitely not something that is like high on your priority list. And so yeah, this year just has not been there for me, and it's still, I'm kind of still in struggle mode there. So I think I would definitely don't want to do some big grand second half of the year goal setting, or even third quarter goal setting, or anything of that nature, because it's just a lot. And it doesn't help when you set these goals and then you look at them and then you're like, oh, well, I mean, you can even see my numbers for how I would rate myself were very low. And that's just awesome. I mean, that's just not helpful. That's not helpful, especially, you know, when you're struggling mentally. It's definitely not helpful. So that's the reason why I think I'm going to take a break from doing all of that. There are still some things that I want to put down on paper to focus on for the rest of the year. But I kind of, you know, I debated on whether or not to even film this video and just not have one. But I mentioned this goal planner in one of my videos, and I mentioned that I thought about even doing like a big old setup, and I was like, you know, I need to be real with you guys, and plus, you know, this might be helpful for someone else, because even if you have one of the big fancy goal setting planning systems, if it's just not the time, it's okay to step away. Or if you still want to utilize the system, but maybe not utilize everything in the system, maybe scale it back 50%, scale it back, you know, 75%, or just change things up completely. So, I mean, that's okay. And I think that that's important, because like I said, it's not always the best if you know that you're going to be struggling to meet these goals just because you're not in that place to do it. It's just going to feel kind of bad at the end of the month when you look back and you're like, oh, I didn't get that done, I didn't get that done, I didn't get that done. So yeah, at least I'm not a professional, so that could be the completely wrong way to go about it, but that's kind of where I am right now. So with that said, I am going to focus on a few things I don't know if I want to say for the rest of the year. Some of these are going to be like the rest of the year, but at least, you know, short term, maybe for the rest of the year, we'll see. The things that I'm definitely going to be focusing on for the rest of the year is both my physical and my mental wellness. And I have a fitness and wellness planner. I set some goals for the month already. I filmed that in a video. They were very, very simplistic. It's like focusing on nutrition and then focusing on consistency when it comes to physical movement or physical workouts or exercises. So that's kind of what that's going to be. I mean, this is how I'm keeping it super simple, and you'll see that I'm only going to probably have like four things here. So yeah, so the first thing, like I said, is going to be, we're going to say mental wellness. I think some of the action steps, I'm going to probably do some of these off camera. I'm not going to do all of these on camera, just because I'm going to probably leave space for all of the things that I come up with, just because not, you know, I'm not saying like, oh, it needs to be personal or anything like that. It's just sometimes sitting down in one setting, you think about things at that moment, but you're going to think about additional things later on. So it's more of that. But yeah, so for mental wellness, I need to journal. That is like, it's something I'm struggling with, but I am kind of moving that up to the priority list. Now, I'm not going to be rating myself when it comes to journaling like this. I'm not going to do that. But it's something that I really want to make a priority. So I'm just going to kind of do things to kind of help make that happen, which is going to be, I think I need to keep journal on nightstand. So that way I write in my journal first thing in the morning. So I definitely want to try to journal in the morning. And if it's one of those mornings where I have to go into the office or something like that, I usually go into the office. Like I arrive at work fairly early just to beat traffic. So if I'm just sitting in the parking lot, I can journal there or something like that. So those are like the two things I think I'm going to try to do to kind of hopefully amp that up. And like I said, there's probably going to be some more things there that I'll do off camera. And then physical wellness. We're going to start with consistency. And then that is, I need a workout schedule. And a meal plan and prep. And track meals after the fact. That's more of an accountability thing. It serves two purposes. In all honesty, I track my meals for if I have any symptoms or anything like that. I can try to pinpoint what causes it. But for the goal purposes, the tracking the meals kind of comes for like accountability purposes and things like that. So that's kind of where consistency comes. Plus, I need to do we're just going to leave it like that because it's almost like consistency, but it's also, I mean, the overall goal is obviously to improve my physical wellness. So I think that's it. I told y'all this is going to be super simple, but I was going to film it anyway. So there's a category that I always have in here, like fun and adventure. And I have like research, schedule, vacations, and like local upcoming events and things like that. So like I said, I haven't really been in the right mental space to really meet those goals for this year. I mean, I have gone on 2 trips this year, but those, like one of them was a work trip and then the other one was Go Wild. So it really wasn't much like I had to do like planning wise or anything like that. So I didn't take any like quote unquote vacations. I guess you could call those vacations. Like I turned Go Wild into like a vacation, but I need to think about next year. So like I know this year, the likelihood of me going anywhere for vacation this year is very slim just because I'm limited to when I can travel due to work. Like I can pretty much travel in July and December. So that will pretty much, I think, mean that I can't really go anywhere this year, but I need to think about next year because I need to book it this year. So I definitely need to 2026 travel. So I just need to kind of start with brainstorming. But then I need to book by end of the year. And the reason why I need to book by the end of the year, because that's likely going to be a spring trip. Because again, that's usually the best time I can travel work-wise. So I'm going to have to book it by the end of the year. And then I think the last thing that I'm going to like focus on is just my home. They call physical environment. This is the one thing that I have actually done pretty well at as far as succeeding in my goal. Is I did a home project. I didn't do it, but you know, I went ahead and bit the bullet and paid a contractor for like new windows and stuff. But like whether or not I needed them this year or not was kind of like, I don't know. So it's something that I could have continuously pushed off. I've already pushed it off before. So me actually doing it this year, as someone who's super frugal and cheap and doesn't really like to do that, I will say that's a win. But I continue. There are some other home projects I need to do. So I need to complete home projects. Whether, like I said, whether or not that's me personally doing them or hiring someone to do them, isn't really the thing, because just getting a contractor sometime is very, very difficult. So, all right, so that's it. I mean, that's so basic. And these, like, I guess if you were trying to talk about like goal categories, I think we hit like 3 of them. Because, you know, I could set goals for finances. I could set goals for like social activities. I could set goals for relationships. I could set goals for, personal growth and things like that, but I'm just not there. I'm not there mentally. So I'm kind of listening to myself. I think that's what we don't do enough. And it's like, sometimes I feel like we think because we're not doing something, because I'm not visiting, and this was me. I thought because I wasn't visiting this goals planner, maybe the goal planner wasn't working for me or the goal journal wasn't working for me. And then when I started sitting back and reflecting a little bit more, I'm like, no, this is just not the year. It has not been the year since like February. I think January was fine. And then February hit and it was just like, ugh. Everything just kind of went. So, yeah, and I think that's fine. Like I said, these are things that I need to focus on. So we're going to kind of keep them in the forefront. With that said, this is just for the season of life that I'm in right now. There might be a miraculous turnaround, and come August or September, I might be like, let's roll. Let's do another page and let's set up the goals. And it might be a whole bunch, and I might be ready to rock it and might be successful at it. I might, like I said, I might revisit it for the 4th quarter. I don't know yet. I'm just going to kind of ride the waves and see what happens. Like I said, this wasn't a super eventful video, but I didn't want to leave you guys hanging. And sometimes I feel like, you know, filming these reel videos, reel is an R-E-A-L, not R-E-E-L, may help somebody else out to let you know that, hey, you know, you see a lot of people setting goals and you feel like that's the thing that you need to do. It's okay to not set any. It's okay to set 1 or 2, and it's okay to be super basic. And maybe your goals are just things that you need to do for your everyday life. They don't have to be big and huge and grand. So yeah, that's kind of why I decided to come on here and film this video. So with that said, if you have yet to subscribe to my channel, I hope you would consider pressing that subscribe button. If you did enjoy this video, please press that like button as well. That is all I have for now. I hope you have a good rest of your day, evening, or night. Until next time, bye.